This is the Information Brief, a Holyoke media service with the most recent updates of relevance in the city of Holyoke and the Pioneer Valley. I'm Johan Rashi Vega, and this is the information for Monday, June 1st of 2020. Holyoke Mayor raises the Pride flag half-staff to celebrate LGBTQ Pride Month throughout June, and also took a moment to honor the memory of George Floyd. Holyoke Police Department released a statement amid the protests in the country related to the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Governor Baker provided updates related to the reopening of businesses and office spaces prior to Phase 2. And we have the most recent numbers at the Holyoke Soldier's home. This is the information. Holyoke Mayor Alex Morse and a small group of members of the Holyoke Pride Committee held this Monday afternoon the raising of the Pride flag at Holyoke City Hall, celebrating the beginning of June as Pride Month to recognize and celebrate the self-affirmation, equality, rights, and increased visibility of the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, so we are celebrating the start of Pride Month in the city of Holyoke, and this is I think a powerful reminder of the effectiveness and power of people coming together and demanding justice against power. And the start of our LGBT queer civil rights movement really started with the Stonewall riots, which were riots against police violence and police brutality, led by trans women of color in New York City. And I think it's incredibly important that we remember the history of our movement. Too often, as members of the LGBT community, we talk about our oppression while ignoring the oppression of people of color and the intersectionality of our identities within our community. And so in 2020, while we've made a lot of progress, the murder of George Floyd and the silence of many white folks is indicative of the progress yet to be achieved in this country. And silence or neutrality is siding with the oppressor and oppression. And I think here in Holyoke, we want to make clear that we are an intersectional community and really use this opportunity of Pride Month to raise all voices and to remind people that you can fight for queer equality while fighting for racial equality, and we need more allies and accomplices in our community. And so we do this today, and I look forward to joining community members tomorrow as we march from City Hall to the police department to call for and remember the life and legacy of George Floyd and make sure we do all we can locally and federally to reform our system to make sure that those injustices and killings don't continue happening in our country.
Ensuring proper physical distancing and all wearing masks, the group not only raised the rainbow flag half-staff, but also took a moment to honor the memory of George Floyd, who just a week ago was killed by the police in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Holyoke Pride Committee has some virtual events and activities planned for this month of June. And for more information, you can visit the Facebook page. The link is posted on this information brief. As we see many protests and demonstrations taking place in different cities and towns across the country, this Monday, June 1st, the chief of the Holyoke Police Department, Manny Fibo, released a public statement on the killing of George Floyd by the police in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The statement reads, "As Chief of Police, I would like to release a statement on behalf of the men and women of the Holyoke Police Department regarding the death of George Floyd. We denounce the recent actions taken by the 4 officers that killed Mr. Floyd, and we understand the sorrow, pain, and anger that is being felt across the country. First and foremost, the Holyoke Police Department will never support or tolerate any officer who wears a uniform to perpetrate acts of brutal force and or violence against anyone based on their race, religion, sexual orientation, or gender identity. We take pride in maintaining the utmost professionalism and dignity in serving our community. Our job as police officers is to protect, serve, and preserve lives at all costs. The actions of the 4 police officers in Minneapolis are infuriating and have rightfully created distrust in the community. The Holyoke Police Department is here for you, and we will not stand for such actions. We want to remind our community we will continue to be committed to protecting life and serving those who live, visit, and work in our community. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Mr. Floyd and all of those who have been affected by this senseless tragedy. I remain committed to doing the work necessary to continue build trust and partnership in our community. In our local region, cities like Springfield and Northampton have held rallies and demonstrations on the past days to protest police brutality and support George Floyd, but also to denounce some cases of police abuse against black folk and people of color. Also, the city of Holyoke will have this Tuesday, June 2nd, a public march and vigil organized by the community group 413 Boricuas that will gather at Holyoke City Hall at 4 p.m. this Tuesday, June 2nd, and the group will march to the Holyoke Police Station, where they will hold a vigil in honor of black folk that have lost their lives to violence and police brutality. In other information, Governor Baker provided updates related to the reopening of businesses and office spaces prior to Phase 2. Businesses will be allowed to access their workspaces for staff and personnel only to get ready for reopening.
Today I signed an executive order that clarifies which businesses and sectors fall into Phase 2 of our reopening strategy. The full list is available at mass.gov/reopening. Effective today, businesses and organizations listed in Phase 2 will be permitted to enter their establishments to start preparing for their opening while remaining closed to the public. Safety protocols must be observed during this process, but this lead time is important for preparations. The executive order also contains more information on the sectors that fall into Phases 3 and 4. We'll continue to put out more details and guidance as this reopening process continues, and we'll carefully monitor the data between today, June 1st, and June 6th, and then on the 6th, based on that data, make an announcement and a decision with respect to Phase 2. Today, we're releasing guidance for retail stores. It will also be available at mass.gov/reopening. Reopening certain businesses also requires our state to consider how to ramp up other critical services to support our workers and their families. Today, our administration will also release guidance for childcare, recreational summer camps, and youth programs. These programs can reopen in Phase 2 after submitting specific plans to EEC to ensure health and safety parameters for screenings and sanitization. These requirements also include safety protocols around transportation and food safety procedures. Recreational camps can operate with activity restrictions and limited openings for groups that are smaller than 12, which each camp allowed multiple groups of 12 campers. The full details for childcare and camps are available at mass.gov/reopening.
We will continue reviewing throughout the week all the different guidelines and potential reopening businesses before the official implementation of Phase 2 that it could happen on June 8th only if the health data continues showing a positive trend. And regarding the Holyoke Soldiers Home, the numbers provided by the state as of this Monday, June 1st are: testing results of all residents. 74 veteran residents have tested positive. 57 veteran residents have tested negative. As of resident locations, 103 residents are on-site and 28 residents are off-site. Of those, all 28 are at a dedicated skilled nurse unit at Holyoke Medical Center. None are receiving acute care. There has been 93 veteran resident deaths, 76 positive, 16 negative, and 1 unknown. It is worth noting that there has been no new deaths reported ever since our last report on Wednesday, May the 27th. As for the employees, it remains also without changes since the last update on the 27th. 84 employees have tested positive. Stay in the know with Holyoke Media. We are reporting different announcements, services, and updates in the local, state, and federal level related to the COVID-19 emergency. This service is available in English and Spanish for our community in the city of Holyoke and the Pioneer Valley. This is the information we have for today. We will continue updating and following up as soon as more information becomes available. If you have questions or information to share with us as well as your concerns, you can contact us on our different outlets on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and podcast distribution platforms. Also, you can watch us on Holyoke Cable Channel 15. Remember to wash your hands. Keep a safe distance if you need to be out, and also remember to wear a face covering or mask. This has been the information brief for June 1st, 2020. I'm Johan Rashi Vega. You're watching Holyoke Media.